proceeding, I'm going to be honest. Oh hi, I'm Sue. Thanks so much for coming to my channel. I'm a former economist and comic, and I'm making loads of videos about economics and that sort of stuff. And this video is about housing. So everyone's talking about housing, about building more housing, build, build, build. Now, a lot of people think that if we build more houses, that'll solve the problem of affordable housing, of unaffordable housing, and housing shortages. But what if I was to tell you that the very way that we're building houses is causing housing shortages and causing prices to rise? I mean, I've already told you that now, haven't I? But I'm going to tell you again in this video. That's what the video is about, basically. Now, if you haven't seen my videos before, I should tell you that I used to run walking tours of the economy. I started recording them on little films. And in this video, we have a look at 3 places. 1, where lots of flats have been built and prices have gone up quite a lot. 2, we talk about markets bit, and I explain something about why house prices are rising that I think a lot of people miss. And thirdly, we go somewhere people have just literally built their own houses, which is kind of exciting. I think it's exciting. But first, I'm going to take you to a nature trail. It's not here, forget this, this is my favourite park. We're going to a real nature trail. So if you like your nature, you're in for a real treat. So get your hiking boots on. Can't wait to show you this nature trail. So nature trail coming right up. Okay, let's go, let's start. So I've got my phone a bit stuck in this plant pot. Let's go to the nature trail. Nature, isn't it peaceful? The sounds of nature, eh? I don't know if you can appreciate, I'll breathe in some nice fresh air for you. Lots of nature over there, some cranes. Now I wanted to bring you first to this nature trail, or building sites it could also be called, because I'm in Elephant and Castle, which if you don't know, it's an area in central London, very central, zone 1-2, where lots of stuff's been built over the last 10 years. It's still being built. Now, just as you won't find all that much nature, you won't find all that much affordable housing around here either. It is quite noisy, we'll move in a minute. Now look, you might walk around here and there are lots of amazing businesses and people that live here. It's just, there was stuff here already, right? And people were cleared out to make way for them. Not saying it's their fault that people have moved in here, I'm just pointing that out. And in fact, people that lived here on the estate that was demolished were paid on average compensation of £108,000 they had a 1-bedroom flat. Now, if you go onto the website of the marketing suite, which I was outside earlier, Life and Soul it's called, a 1-bedroom now is advertised at over £700,000. Now, I'm not saying those two figures are directly comparable, I'm just saying that prices have gone up loads and it feels like a big injustice took place. It's windy as well now. And look, there's so much more that can be said about this specific development, Elephant, and I don't think I'm the person to say it, but I'm going to post links to groups that can tell you more about it, particularly the campaign group 35%. What I want to point out though, as an economist, someone that used to be an economist, is that there's something that's happening, not just here, but how homes are being built all over the place, all around the world actually, which is that the way they're being built is actually driving up house prices. It's kind of built into the design. So look, houses have 2 uses. One is as a home, people primarily buying them as a place to live. Secondly, as an investment, people primarily buying them as an investment, they want them to go up in value. Now of course they can be both, things can be 2 things at once. Building site, nature trail. It's just there can be a tension between those 2 uses. So I've said that housing has 2 uses, investment or as a home, or it can be both. I'm not going to use the term investment in this video because investment is such a vague term, it can mean so many different things. I'm going to use the term financial asset. Now you probably know what an asset is, I will explain it again, but you might have your own assets, natural assets. But a financial asset is generally seen as something that you can convert into money and it goes up in value over time. That's why people buy it. Now, if all the decisions around housing are made by people that work in financial markets and they're designed to sell to people who want them to buy them primarily as something as an asset to go up in value, we shouldn't really be surprised if houses go up in value a lot. Now there's quite a lot more I could say about financial markets, but I'm going to leave it there for now. And I will just also say that it's not clear that it's financial markets that are driving rising house prices, not just because of this mechanism, but other things as well. But we're going to talk about this more, going to go somewhere quieter, and I'm going to take you actually to a market, not to a financial market where you can buy assets, but to a market, a really interesting one where you can buy apples. Right. It's actually not about this, but it's just a little shop. But now I've just kneeled in some grape or something. Just kneeled in a squash grape. So this is East Street Market, an amazing place. Some lovely melons there. But let's go somewhere around the corner a little bit quieter because they're all packing up here. So as you can see, I brought you to East Street Market. Well, I'm just walking away from it now because, as you can also probably see, it's just closing. And you may be able to see that all the traders are putting out all their rubbish and the big refuse lorries are coming around to pick it up. So you might say this was a bad time to come, wasn't it, Suze? Should have come a bit earlier. But I'm going to say to you that this was deliberate because I'm here to make a point, not about the market specifically, but about financial markets. And it'll all become clear. I'm going to explain round the corner and we're going to talk about assets. I will say lots of people make films about East Street Market. Go on YouTube, loads of people make films about it. We are going to go around the corner and find somewhere a bit quieter and we're going to talk about financial assets and why markets for financial assets, which you can't buy in the market, work really differently from stuff you'd buy at a normal market. So now I'm walking through Faraday Gardens and there's a really nice church over here. I remember it because I did a comedy gig here once. I remember the church being beautiful. I remember the gig not going so well, but you know, wasn't the best gig I've ever had. Hi, so I'm around the corner from East Street Market in this beautiful gardens of St Peter's Church, and I wanted to explain why it is that housing and financial assets don't work in the same way as other things that you might buy in a market, like an apple. So you can probably think of loads of reasons why housing and financial assets are different from other things like an apple, but I'm just really going to focus on two linked things. So the first thing is that apples decay. They lose value over time, like most things in nature, like you and me, we're all decaying. In fact, you saw at the market, it was at the end of the day, so the stuff that's like going off or rotting is just left on the floor. Now linked to that is a second thing, which is when the price of apples goes up, people tend to buy less of them. And when there are loads of apples, the price comes down and people often buy more of them. Now, what's different about an asset? So an asset is generally seen as something you can convert into money and it goes up in value over time. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? That we've created a world, a financial economic world, where things keep on going up in value over time. They don't follow the normal rules and cycles of nature. Interesting that, isn't it? I mean, they do often experience horrific crashes, but let's not be too negative. Let's not focus on that. So that's the first thing. Financial assets, they go up in value over time. And a second thing linked to that is that if the price goes up, sometimes people buy more of it, not less. So for example, around here, the price of housing goes up. People might say, investors might say, oh look, the price of housing's doubled around there. Good place to buy. Let's buy a house around there. They might not want to live here. They just might want to invest. People that wanted to live here might be less likely to be able to afford to buy somewhere around here. So there's so much more I could say here. Probably you could think of some reasons why apples are quite different from houses. But I just want to make really that one point, which is that supply and demand doesn't work in the same way for financial assets as it does for apples. And if you hear people saying we just need to build more houses, that'll solve the problems of high prices, they might not have taken that into account. Now that isn't to say we shouldn't build more houses. I'm just saying that if when you build more houses, you also create loads more financial products, they might cause some problems. Anyway, next we're going to go somewhere where they have built houses, but in a really different way. So let's go. So when we talk about building more houses, it really matters who builds the houses. Right, I am so excited. I'm in this really amazing place. I've watched quite a lot of documentaries about it. I've never actually been here before, but it's in Lewisham, close to where I live, and it's called Walter's Way. And it's a place where in the 70s, people built their own kind of like council homes. And it's like way more magical than I thought it was going to be, even though I've seen quite a lot of pictures about it and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's like a caravan. I mean, the caravan's not the most exciting thing, but it's just the houses, which are all really different and all really, like there's a really incredible green one. I mean, I'm not doing good at describing them, but there's a glass one. I mean, that's amazing. And I feel a bit, I don't want to film too much, I think it's invading their privacy, but this is like, people built this. And look, if you think it's a big deal to, but there's a tree house, by the way, look, oh my God, the tree house, I can try and show you. There's a little notice board. I'll show you the tree house if I can. It's a really good tree house, can you see it? edit on the comment on the tree house. I think the tree house is kind of part of the house. I can't really tell. Anyway, it's really nice. Also, I didn't say it's a Walter Segal method. Should have said that. But anyway, it's just really great here. Really amazing here. House, like all this amazing, like just so many things, which is just like anyway, it's really awesome. Anyway, it's in Lewisham, did I say that? And so this is really amazing. But also there are like, if building a house is a big thing to start with, you could start with something smaller like a yurt. Look at the Hexa project. That's a really interesting project to start with. Also, I do a bit of teaching sometimes at an amazing place called the Centre for Alternate Technology, and they run like courses on how to build your own home. Very exciting. Fixing bikes there, that's cool. Hey, that's the thought with the bikes, right? One place you could put housing is like in the middle of the road, because you know we've got all these new innovative ways of designing transport infrastructure. Check out the link I'm going to post to a company called Badaris. They can literally build infrastructure for transport above roads, so we could use this space for something else, for like housing. I wonder if I can pick this cat up. Can I pick this cat up? No. can't pick this cat up. Okay. Okay, mate. You don't have to be... Okay. So, we're back. Now I thought I'd summarise. I've made this video because I hear people talking all the time about building more homes, which I think is a good idea. We've just got to be clear that homes, affordable homes, are actually being provided. They're not always. It does seem weird. Now I've shown you a couple of examples which were really different. I'm not saying they're for direct comparison, but I'd say that in one of the examples, the Segal method, I hope that I pronounced that right, the primary focus on providing homes, right? Now I'm not saying that's scalable for everything or that everyone wants to build their own home, and I did get a bit excited by the tree house. It wasn't actually a tree house, it was like a house that had a tree house. It was really amazing. But I'm just pointing out the primary focus there was on providing homes, and the people that were going to live in those homes were really involved in all the decisions, right? They actually built them themselves, which I think is quite extreme but really inspiring. Really noisy bird there. Not sure what it is. Can you hear it? Probably. What I am saying though is that although they're also assets, the primary focus on homes, and it actually matters who owns the asset. That's a really noisy little bird. It's tiny. I think it's a wren. See if I can capture it for you. Can't really see it, can you? Oh well. Now in the other example, elephant, I'd say the primary decisions were made by investors, and people that originally called it their home were forcibly moved out, which I just don't think is acceptable. And I don't want to provide one narrative. Of course homes have been provided, of course there are some benefits, of course it's not all one-sided, but we often miss some sides of the story when we look at these developments. Also, there are side effects from some of the financial investments that we don't always see until it's too late. Now I could talk a lot more about finance, and there are also other reasons why house prices are rising. This isn't the only reason, and there are tons more things I thought about talking about in this video, particularly the role of debt. I was going to talk about this outside the church because debt's kind of interesting actually, and a lot of religions have outlawed particular kinds of interest rates. There's also specific debt products based around housing, which you might remember had a big role in the last financial crisis. A lot of those products are being sold again, particularly across the Eurozone, which is maybe a bit of a problem. I didn't want this video to be about finance. I wanted this video to be about saying there are other ways of creating housing. I want to challenge some of those assumptions around demand and supply, and also other assumptions that we seem to have, right? The housing has to be expensive, that it's okay to benefit at the expense of others, and also that it has to be some relentless competition for space. Now look, of course land is fixed. We've got a fixed amount of land, but there's space for everyone, I would say. Fox there. Oh. So as you may have gathered, I'm pretty new to making videos, and I've made a few now. They're not getting necessarily all that much better in quality. Sorry it was really windy for a lot of this and quite noisy. Thank you for making the time to watch it. Play now, more noise. I think I'm going to go now. You're sort of a bit in the way. Maybe I'm in the way.